Think about that one person you know, the one who has no Instagram, no TikTok, no digital footprint whatsoever. They're a ghost. In a world where we broadcast our every thought and meal, they seem to operate on a different frequency. We scroll our feeds and might wonder what they're doing. But the real question is, what are they seeing that we're not? They live in a world that's constantly screaming for our attention, yet they've chosen deliberate silence, and it's given them a set of psychological superpowers. This isn't about being antisocial or behind the times. It's about a small group of people who have hacked their own psychology to gain a mental edge. Today, we're exploring the minds of those who've logged off for good, revealing the surprising mental traits they have in common, and what their quiet choice reveals about the rest of us. Section 1. The Age of Noise. Before we get into their mindset, we have to acknowledge the world they're consciously leaving behind. We live in an age of digital noise. Social media platforms are literally engineered to create compulsive habits. Every notification, like, and comment is designed to give you a small hit of dopamine, the same brain chemical that makes a slot machine so addictive. This system is built to capture your focus, creating what psychologists call attentional fragmentation. Your focus is constantly being shattered into tiny pieces as you jump from a post, to a story, to a message, and back again. This fire hose of information creates a massive cognitive load, forcing your brain to work overtime just to keep up. But this is more than just a distraction. It's a fundamental shift in how we see the world. We start thinking in terms of shareable moments instead of just having experiences. A beautiful sunset isn't just a sunset, it's a potential Instagram story. A meal isn't just for enjoying, it's for documenting. People who opt out of this system aren't just deleting an app, they are rejecting this whole way of being. They've recognized that the constant digital buzz gets in the way of critical thinking, deep focus, and the ability to just sit and reflect. Their choice isn't coming from a place of ignorance, but from a place of profound awareness. Section 2. The 5 surprising psychological traits. So what really defines the mindset of someone who logs off? Research and observation point to a core set of psychological strengths. Trait 1. Radical presence and mindfulness. The first trait is a deep commitment to the present moment. People who avoid social media don't feel that constant itch to document their lives because they're too busy actually living them. When you're not trying to get the perfect photo or write a witty caption, your mind is free to soak in your surroundings. You notice the details others miss, the subtle shift in the light, the comfortable pause in a conversation, the full flavor of your food. This isn't just a nice idea, it has real cognitive benefits. By avoiding constant digital overstimulation, their brains are better protected from what's called digital amnesia, where multitasking actually hurts our ability to form memories. They aren't splitting their attention between the real world and a future, imaginary audience. This allows for deeper focus, stronger concentration, and a greater appreciation for the unfiltered texture of life itself. Trait 2. High agency and internal validation. This next one might be the most powerful trait of all. A rock-solid sense of internal validation. Their self-worth isn't tied to external numbers, like likes, shares, and follower counts. Psychologists call this having a strong internal locus of control, a fancy way of saying their sense of worth and happiness comes from within, not from outside approval. They don't need 1,000 people online to tell them you're enough to believe it. This creates a kind of identity security, a confidence that doesn't rise and fall with the algorithm. Because they aren't chasing the dopamine hits of social approval, they're less vulnerable to social comparison and the pressure to perform. They can make choices based on their own values, not on how those choices will look online. This independence allows them to live more authentically, free from the low-grade anxiety of curating a public image. Trait 3. Deep focus and resistance to fragmentation. In a world full of distractions, people who log off are masters of deep focus. Social media trains the brain to jump between tiny bits of information, which some researchers suggest can impair cognitive skills like reading and memory over time. Those who abstain are actively protecting their minds from this attentional fragmentation. They hold on to their ability to do deep work, to read a book for hours, to think through a complex problem without reflexively reaching for their phone. They are observers who would rather reflect than react, and respond thoughtfully rather than post impulsively. This isn't just about being more productive, it's about intellectual freedom. By resisting the engineered distractions, they keep control over their own thoughts, which allows for sharper critical thinking and a more independent mind. Trait 4. intentional social connection. It's a common myth that people who aren't on social media are antisocial. In reality, the opposite is often true. They are deeply social, but they prioritize authentic connection over performative connection. They choose quality over quantity, investing their energy in a smaller circle of deeper, real-world relationships. Psychology backs this up, with studies noting that relationships built mostly online can lack the emotional intimacy that comes from direct, private communication. These individuals prefer a phone call, a text, or a face-to-face meeting where they can read genuine human signals, not curated digital ones. They understand that attention and connection are not the same thing. One is a crowd looking in your direction. The other is a person who truly knows you. Trait 5. Comfort with invisibility and silence. Finally, these individuals are comfortable with being invisible. They don't believe that being seen is the same as being worthy. For them, privacy isn't about being secretive, it's a form of personal control and an essential emotional boundary. In a culture where oversharing is the norm, their silence can be confusing. But for them, it's a source of peace. It gives them the freedom to grow and change without feeling like they need to release public patch notes. Psychologists note that setting these kinds of boundaries is linked with lower anxiety and higher self-respect. There is a power in choosing what parts of your life the world doesn't get to see. They understand that being known by a few is very different from being seen by many. This comfort with quiet lets them live without the constant pressure of performance, finding a deep sense of relaxation in the undocumented moments of life. These traits paint a picture of a very intentional way of living. It really makes you wonder, have you ever tried a social media detox, or do you know someone who fits this profile? Let me know your experiences in the comments below. Section 3. What it says about the rest of us. The existence of this group shines a light on the very real costs of our hyper-connected world. Research has consistently linked heavy social media use with an increased risk for depression, anxiety, and loneliness. Studies have shown that taking just a one-week break from social media can reduce symptoms of anxiety by over 16% and symptoms of depression by nearly 25%. Limiting use to just 30 minutes a day has been found to significantly lower feelings of loneliness and fear of missing out. This tells us that the constant social comparison, the fear of missing out, and the endless chase for validation are taking a measurable psychological toll. While many people use social media to feel less lonely, some studies show that spending more time on these platforms is actually associated with higher levels of loneliness, depending on how you use them. The key difference often comes down to your motivation. Are you using it to actively connect or to passively escape? The choice to log off is a conscious rejection of these psychological traps. However, it's also important to be nuanced. For some, not posting can be a sign of social anxiety or depression. Silence isn't always a choice. But for those who choose it freely, their quiet life is a powerful statement about the possibility of living differently. Conclusion. The psychology of people who aren't on social media isn't about being strange or disconnected. It's about being incredibly intentional. They demonstrate a strong sense of self, a preference for deep focus, a desire for authentic connection, and a comfort with their own quiet presence. They haven't given up on connection, they've simply chosen a different, more direct path to it. They build relationships that don't need digital proof, and live lives that don't need an audience to feel valid. Their example challenges us to take a hard look at our own habits. It pushes us to really think about the role these platforms play in our lives, our focus, and our sense of self. It reminds us that in a world built to harvest our attention, our presence is the rarest and most valuable thing we have. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. In our endless quest to be connected, have we forgotten how to simply connect with ourselves? If this exploration of the mind resonated with you, and you're interested in more content on psychology, digital minimalism, and intentional living, make sure to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.